Lakeside Dental Clinic, Go Island, is brought to you by Lakeside Dental Clinic.
We're just meeting Michael here right now. He's part of the cast for The Servant of Two Masters. We're hanging out in the lobby. He says, "Hey, I can juggle." I said, "Okay, do you juggle in the play?" He says, "Well, figuratively, I juggle people." We're hanging out at the theater department at VIU today. Growing and learning after retirement, a new item at the library in Port Alberni and out of their comfort zone in Clock. The Servant of Two Masters is the next production from the Vancouver Island University Theatre Department. We're checking out that show for a sneak peek today on Go Island. But first, just because you're retired or maybe enjoying life in your senior years doesn't mean that you have to stop learning. Here now is Kelly Robinson. The Harbour City Seniors is hosting an open house on March the 3rd from 1 until 3 at Bowen Park. There will be all kinds of hands-on demonstrations and activities, refreshments, site tours, and a whole lot more. Door prizes as well. You're watching Go Island on Shaw TV Channel 4. This is Ross Desprez. He is the director of The Servant of Two Masters, as well as a instructor here at the Vancouver Island University Theatre Department. This comedy was written in 1746, is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. It was based on the earlier works of commedia dell'arte from Italy, largely improvised, big boffo comedy, and Carlo Galdoni was the first one to actually write a script for that kind of theater. So he took that boffo, big clownish stuff and actually wrote a story and put the same characters into that kind of story.
And it's sort of been hailed as the original sitcom, so there's some elements that date back hundreds of years that you might see.
These characters are like the basic stock characters of all comedy, and probably the two most glowing examples are Basil Fawlty from Fawlty Towers would be the Brighella character from Commedia dell'arte, and Manuel is a zany. And those, you could take those two characters and they're exactly the way they would have been in the Commedia dell'arte. And just about any comedy situation you have now, those big stock characters, you can probably trace them all back to Commedia dell'arte.
Does that get boring? Like, how can you go out of the box and present something new if the characters are somewhat formulaic?
I guess that's an interesting question. But you know, they're this. I think Aristotle said there's only 7 plots in the world as well. So, you know,
and Shakespeare wrote them all, right? No.
Exactly. Shakespeare used them all, and Shakespeare used every one of these characters from Commedia dell'arte as well. They're all, you can find them all in Commedia through Shakespeare right up until Seinfeld and modern television sitcoms. We just appreciate, you know, if you think about when you see Lucy do a routine of eating chocolates on the assembly line, and then 5 years later a new sitcom will do exactly the same scenario but just with different characters, but it's exactly the same routine, and it's kind of like that. We get used to things that we think are funny, and so if you just repackage it, we still think it's funny.
Would you like to meet him?
Yes.
I'll go get him.
Ooh, this is so exciting! I wonder who it could be.
So, did you see him?
Who?
The man who's in love with you.
The only one here is you. You!
Yes, me.
And this is a bit out of routine for your students in the theater department, because a lot of the plays that you tend to take on, and correct me if I'm wrong, are pretty serious, a little bit heavy. How are they reacting to comedy, which isn't easy to do?
Well, I think they're really enjoying it, but on the other hand, yeah, I keep telling them I'm teaching you really bad habits here, because all the acting, of course, is totally over the top, and yet everything we do in class is about, no, be honest and truthful, and don't be too melodramatic.
And learn that life is a big contradiction, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I think they enjoy it, and I have to say I'm really enjoying working on something this crazy and funny too. It is a bit of a departure, and I'm enjoying it as well.
Excellent. Okay, we have a beautiful, colorful set that we're going to take a closer look at later. Theater is magic, and it's time now for another random act of magic with Michael Behrens.
Hey, we are here at Hometown Yoga. I'm sitting here with Pam, and today we're going to do a little bit of magic where we tap into the energies that are in the room. I know, very yoga-ish. All right, we have a couple of chalkboards here and a piece of chalk. We're just going to take those, we're just going to sandwich those together. Okay, fair? You can see them off from all sides. Put them right there on the ground. And I'm going to take a piece of chalk. I'm going to put it inside. Okay. Just like that. Fair?
Yep.
And I also have a bunch of cards here. And they're all very different. They all have different symbols and that kind of thing on them. Very different. And we're just going to give this a bit of a shuffle. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap a rubber band around here, just like so. And that's what I want you to do. I just want you to peek in and just peek at one card. Don't flip through them. It's very important. You only see one. So just anywhere, top or bottom, anywhere you'd like, okay? Reach in there and just do one. And show it to the camera. All right, the camera has it?
Got it.
Good. All right, so you could have picked any one of those symbols, but you have one.
Yeah.
It's in your head.
It's in my head.
Okay. Take the chalkboards, put your hands on top of them like that. And I want you to envision that symbol.
All right.
Do you have it in your head?
I do.
Very good. All right. I think it worked. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's just open this up and we'll just take a good look at what we have. It says, you will pick the star. Did you pick the star?
Crazy. Yeah. It was the star.
That's it for another random act of magic.
Nice.
Still to come today, a growing addition to the library in Port Alberni, getting to know the Old English sheepdog, and Todd gets pampered in clocked. We're hanging out on stage at the Malaspina Theatre here at VIU. The Servant of Two Masters follows a plot that has a guy back in the mid-1700s who is trying to make financial ends meet by working two jobs. Doesn't sound that too far off from reality today. We're going to head up to Port Alberni now. Libraries are full of books, all sorts of books, and a lot of those books do focus in on gardening, but there's something new taking place at the library in Port Alberni. It has to do with seeds. Here's Nancy Wilmot. We met these two colorful characters earlier on this edition of Go Island, but in case we skipped the formal introductions, this is Smurldina, and this is Truffle Dino. And Truffle Dino is a servant serving two masters, and that must create a lot of anxiety for your character. How do you handle it?
He panics a lot and tends to, on the spot, make decisions. He's a person who, surprisingly enough, is quite crafty in coming up with bad situations that work in his favor.
But you seem so sweet. I mean, underneath is some really good motivations, right?
He really is. Besides the sweet and just genuine nature, he's also very hungry. And in all honesty, that's a lot of his motivation to work for two people.
What did you think as a theater student when you found out that this was the script you'd be working on?
Well, when I read it before auditioning, I was very excited because it's very funny, very full of life, and very me. Each character is represented by like an animal, and as a maid character, she would be either a dove or a hawk. So I kind of collaborated both, like a little love flighty dove when it comes to Truffle Dino, and then like a little conniving hawk when it comes to anything else.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. A Servant of Two Masters runs at the Malaspina Theatre here at the VIU campus in Nanaimo. Easy for me to say. 10 performances from March 5th through until the 14th. And speaking of animals, and I was so glad that you brought that up, we're throwing now to a lady from the Nanaimo Kennel Club for a look at the breed of an Old English sheepdog. Mike Tower is the chair of the VIU Theatre Department here at the Vancouver Island University, feeling a little bit repetitive. He's also working on set design along with Dale Schultz for the production of The Servant with Two Masters.
Correct.
How do you describe the set? I love it, by the way.
The set, Dale sort of described it as Art Deco meets the Jetsons. And it started with wing and drop, which was a staging technique at the time, and I was looking for a scenic artist. Dale was available, and so I've been working with him, and it's kind of morphed into something I didn't originally envision, but I quite like where it's going, and I think it works well for the show.
How did that morph take place, because I'm a bit of a fan of Dale's from afar, because I watch him on Facebook and he's been posting updates on this, and I thought it looked pretty neat. Is Morphine Dale getting creative?
Yeah, and it's you know, using Dale's talents as well. I was originally thinking of sort of Venetian, more traditional cityscape background, and then while looking for a scene painter and found out Dale was around, he has got a whimsical style often, and it's very colorful, it's very fun, and that seemed right for the show.
Yeah, and the students have a part to play too.
Well, the students...
It's a learning opportunity for them. This is what they're here for.
Yeah, our students, we get in professionals to work with them in costumes and set, but our students do all of the building, all of the construction, act in the show, sell tickets for the show, put up the posters, work in the bar, act on the stage. So they all do everything, and hopefully they learn about those areas they want to improve on.
Now, this is a question right out of left field. What do you do with all the props and sets that have come through this stage over the years?
I would love to say we have them in storage and can revive them. We have almost no storage, so mostly they go out the door after the show.
Right.
And we just save pieces we can reuse. So we save sets and risers and drapery.
Right. This will be in Dale's garage.
It could be. A lot of it could very well be.
He's going to let it go. Excellent. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
We're going to throw things over now to a couple of guys who I think have a couple storage areas in their garages. It's Todd Jones and Derek Johnstone with another edition of Clocked. Todd actually said he really enjoyed the pedicure, something he never thought he would do or say. That brings us to the end of this edition of Go Island. The Servant of Two Masters runs here at the Malaspina Theatre at VIU campus. It is a theatre department production. The best way to get more information and showtimes, 10 shows between March 5th and 14th, is by telephone 250-740-6100 or go online, www.viu.ca/theatre/upcoming events. Thanks for watching this edition of Go. We'll see you next time.
Lakeside Dental Clinic Go Island is brought to you by Lakeside Dental Clinic, a division of the Vancouver Island Implant Center, delivering dental services, including dental implants and sedation dentistry, all under one roof. Clothing supplied by Catwalk Fashions. Kate's Hair and Aesthetics provided by Maffeo Salon.